Alright, I'm doing this video because, and this is going to be about as far as I go into politics. It's going to be loud because there's fans, and if you don't like it, then click off the video, right? Because it's too hot here. We don't have air conditioning in Seattle, that whole thing. That is common here, right? So we have to rely on fans, and it's a warm day. Not as hot as it has been, but it's pretty warm for us. Anyway, that's not what this video is about. Make sure you join our Discord, which will be down in the description box below. But someone said, who you voting for, man? Who you voting for? Biden or Trump or some of these other people? Who you voting for, man? And my thing is, and I've said this before, I'm politically neutral because I believe all of them are stupid. No, that's not true. I don't think that all of the politicians are stupid, but a lot of them are just gaming the system. And politics here, like politics everywhere, is a come up. It's basically you can sit back and chill, read a few items if you're going to read the. You don't even have to do that. You pay someone, or sometimes you get an intern that is just fresh out of school, fresh out of college, or they're looking to, get into politics or get into the next job that they want. And so they do this for free so they can get a college credit. And the politicians make them read half of the stuff that comes across their desk. And then they ask them, what is it about? What are your thoughts on it? A lot of times this happens. And then, they go from there. A lot of these politicians don't read the stuff that comes across their thing. It's mainly groupthink, period. So one of the reasons why I'm politically neutral is because you have people who sit here and argue all day long about Joe Biden and all the things that they think, and nobody really gives a damn. And Trump and all the stuff and his flaws, and nobody gives a damn. Then you have people who promote these other people who have no shot, a snowball's chance on Jupiter, that they sit and think is going to have a chance. And it's like nobody cares, to be honest with you. Nobody cares. And one of the things I will say is I'm not going to say who I vote for. People probably can kind of understand who I'm going to vote for. It definitely won't be who's in the office now. But Here's my take on it, and this goes for all of the politicians. It doesn't matter who is sitting at the desk or at the table of the White House. Everybody, someone will have a complaint. That's the American way. Doesn't matter who you pick. You're gonna always have people who are gonna be complaining and crying because the person that they want didn't get chosen. That's how immature America is. American society. It's just very immature. You have people who complained about Trump being in office, yet they didn't vote. You didn't do anything because maybe you wanted somebody else, and because you didn't like who was, in the Democratic seat and the Republican seat, you didn't vote, but yet you feel the need to complain. And it's like, if you didn't vote, you really need to take a seat. In my opinion, you just need to take a seat. This isn't your. To me, if you didn't become part of the process, it'd be different if you couldn't. Maybe you didn't, register to vote in time or whatever. There was a mishap, and you really tried, or whatever. Circumstances in life happened, and you wanted to and you couldn't. That's different versus a protest vote. I'm not voting because this person didn't get in office and this, that, and the other. One thing is, I think that folks don't quite understand politics, and there was a lot of people upset because Bernie Sanders didn't get it, and Bernie Sanders this, and there's a conspiracy. It gets old. It gets old because, and there's some sort of a fix because the person you wanted didn't get it. It's just stupid. Like, it's so exhaustively stupid I mean, people really need to venture off of America and go someplace else where there truly is voter fraud that happens all the time. And it's like, for example, you don't even have to go, you can't really go there. Go to North Korea if you want to see voter fraud. Or go to Russia, or go to or China. And there's other places that maybe aren't as extreme, and you have voter suppression and voter fraud. Places like Haiti. I mean, if you really want to see a rigged system, America isn't it. There's a lot of things that we do wrong, but this isn't one of them. People say, well, it does happen, maybe. But people are sitting here saying it happens in the millions, and it's like, stop. Just stop. It's so stupid. That's the one thing that I hate more than anything. Maybe up there with bigotry and racism equally is this tribalistic politic type crap from everybody. It doesn't matter. It's not just one side or the other. It's everybody. I get so sick of this person's going to save me type complex, or we expect every politician to basically be God. That's what they expect from everybody, whether it was Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump, even though he's got a lot of problems. But it doesn't matter who it is. The person, and whoever wins this one, same thing. People are going to complain. And it'd be one thing if you complain and you voted, okay. You're never going to like the person, okay. But it's another thing when there are people who didn't vote, or their person didn't get chosen because nobody wants them, or the vast majority don't want them, and then people get upset. And that happens on both sides. Mitt Romney didn't get chosen, so people over there were pissed, and they complained. Sanders wasn't chosen, so people get pissed and complain, and there's all these alien theories. It must be something from outer space and it's like, no. Apparently, somebody did better than that person. They maybe campaigned better, maybe they delivered the message better, maybe people were just they were just wanting that. Maybe it wasn't necessarily that they didn't really like Mitt Romney, maybe they liked someone a little bit better, or maybe it wasn't they didn't like Sanders, they just maybe felt like this person probably had a better shot, or maybe it's not their stance and their views and their points that they're bringing out. Maybe it's something else, or maybe there's more crushing issues. There's a whole lot that goes into the thought process. And to sit here and get mad at people because they voted for Trump is stupid. Getting mad at people because they voted for Hillary Clinton is stupid. Or Sanders, or whoever else. It's just stupid. I never understand that. That's someone's personal belief, and yet you have people upset about it. You get mad at the person and their views, and like the politician and their views. You may not like that person. That's cool. That's fine, and I think that is totally okay. I'm not saying don't have a view about that particular person, but you see people on here posting things like, I see these two as clowns, and this one is this and that. It's like, just stop. This isn't high school. You know what I mean? Like, this is not high school. And yet you see this type of stuff all the time. It'd be different if, for example, I would expect Trump supporters to clown all day Joe Biden. Of course. Because that happens even in sports. You have your team that you like, you're going to clown everybody else that comes forth. I expect that. I expect people who are wanting Joe Biden to win to clown on Trump. I expect that. But you then have this group that doesn't want either, and they don't vote at all, yet they clown on everybody. But they're not a part of the process. They're only part of the complaint. I have a big issue with people who complain and do nothing about it. That's my biggest thing. Stop complaining. Or some people who expect a miracle to happen. Either they expect for Obama to fix every issue known to man, And as because the man couldn't walk on water, he's wrong. Or because he didn't get everything right, he's wrong. Or maybe he made mistakes. Oh, he's wrong. But it's like, I don't know of any president ever who did not make mistakes. Like, duh. I mean, you know what I mean? And people totally ignore the fact that you have a huge, block here, which is called Congress. It doesn't matter what you promise. That's the thing about Bernie Sanders. He can promise you everybody a free house and free everything, but until Congress gets on board with that, they're just promises. Period. Folks don't seem to get that. They don't seem to understand that I can propose whatever I want. I mean, basically, the president is the chief executive, okay? But the board pretty much can kind of decide yay or nay. I mean, they hold the purse. If the CEO is the only person that controlled the purse, then dang, they'd be buying everything that they want. They'd do whatever they want to do. It doesn't work that way. Government and business are very similar in how they're structured typically, because you have a board, which is the same as Congress, and you have a chief executive, which is the same as the president. And you also have, vice president or the COO. You have all chief financial officer, which is the treasury. You have accountants, which is the same as the attorney general. It's similar, right? It's very similar. And they operate very similarly. But it doesn't, one person just does not control everything like a dictator. I mean, if this was North Korea, sure. I would sit down and be quiet, because basically, the leader of North Korea, I can't even say it. The leader of North Korea controls everything, like everything. That's different. But here, it's not like that. People expect the person sitting in that seat to do everything, and it's like, stop. Or because, let's say I screwed up and didn't do what I needed to do to take care of myself, I'm expecting someone to fix everything. Or maybe I made a bad bet, or a bad deal, or took on more than what I needed to, but I need someone to rescue me. No. Accountability. You know what I mean? Like accountability. I'm not saying that I agree with everything that every politician has ever done, because I don't. I absolutely don't. But on the same token, I don't sit here and whine and cry because the person that I voted for didn't get it. And I don't sit here and complain constantly that, well, because of this person here, we're in the situation that we're in. Yeah, I do sit here and definitely post things that are like, this is what's going on, or, this is the circumstance. Can't believe how dumb this is. Because sometimes it is. It's like, gee. But to basically post that, hey, there's no point in voting, that's a part of the problem. That's a big part of the problem. If you're not a part of the process, then you're part of the problem. You know what I mean? And if your person didn't get it, so be it. There was a person who I respect otherwise, right? Pretty smart person. And all they would do is just launch negativity, constantly about a politician. I'm like, really? I mean, that's all you do? I think because it's so tribalistic. And again, it goes back to social media and the fact that, you're part of a family, right? That you never had before. So everybody's thought is right there. You see what I'm saying? But and so finally I told the person, which is a family member, I'm like, it doesn't matter who's sitting in the chair, someone's going to complain. I mean, it doesn't matter. It really honestly does not matter. You could put any religious figure there, somebody's going to complain. It literally, there's going to always be something that people are going to complain about, that this person didn't do enough, or, we wouldn't be having these issues if you chose this person. And it's like, but would we not really? How do you know? Unless you have a Congress that is in lockstep with the person that's in office, then probably. But even that's not a guarantee because you can't get them to even do what they're supposed to do. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. To me, it's more important for you to focus on who your city leadership is. And I've said this over and over and over again. Because honestly, if you look at our state of Washington, there are people who don't like Governor Inslee. Not a shock. But even if you put somebody else in office, they're not going to like him either. But or him or her, they're not going to like him. I mean, the person doesn't have to say anything, and I guarantee you there's going to be people that, I don't like him, I don't like her. That's just how it is, right? But it's true. You can have someone that no one knows anything about, put them in the position, and people are going to say, I don't like him. But the governor here controls what happens to the state. So no matter what the president says in terms of reopening, I mean, the governor is like, nah, we're going to take this path. That's where you should have a lot of your focus at, is your state. There's some states, honestly, that has leadership that just sucks, and it has sucked for over 100 years. Sorry. Just because your state is well underperforming and never really gives much to the national government, and it always gets a bailout, that's not the fault of national politics. That's the fault of the local deal. These are facts. And I come from a state that was like that. It is what it is. I love my home state, but it's a state that never really done much to help the national. If anything, it received tons of money. And it's had Democratic governors and Republican governors. That didn't, it is what it is. It is what it is. There are also cities in that state that are that basically make the state. I'm not trying to be mean, but that's every city in the country. There are certain cities that obviously, if it wasn't for them, the states would just go to the pits. But those cities carry the whole state. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter who's sitting in the seat in the White House. You need to focus on your state. And then you need to focus on your city, your county. Because who's sitting in those positions really does change. They really do affect your life drastically. Just look at Seattle, for example. There are people talking about that. It doesn't matter who's sitting in the chair, who was before, after, who's going to be. It doesn't matter because they're not controlling what's going on in terms of local city government. For example, I talked about how the city stopped the streetcar from expanding up in Seattle, and then they want to go ahead, but now the cost is much more than what it is. Had she just basically took a seat and let the process continue, not only would that streetcar be completed, the whole line would be linked together, but it would have been a whole lot cheaper. That has nothing to do with who was elected president. Nothing. But drastically affects the local economy down there. The high cost of rents and the high cost of retail space, that has nothing to do with who's sitting in. That has nothing to do with that. The massive amounts of, that's basically where the city and the county should step in. The business community should step in. But that has nothing to do with who's sitting in the. I'm not saying that the person sitting there doesn't control big aspects of life and funding to states and all of that. Absolutely. Or big issues and choosing who's going to be on Supreme Court and all that. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that folks should be more deep into who is their elected officials locally than they are nationally. Because that is really what affects your life very much so. Really bad. But regardless, people are never going to be happy. So one of the reasons why I don't really discuss politics is for that fact that it doesn't matter. Logic doesn't matter to people. So even if you if you point out the good that someone does, they may be trash 98% of the time, but if there's like that 2% that's good, people who are not politically neutral can't see that 2%. They will never see it. They will never be able to get there. You see what I'm saying? And that doesn't matter who the president has been. There's going to be that group that even if you point out the facts that this was actually done right, they're never going to see it. And that's one of the reasons why I don't discuss politics on any of my, like on YouTube I don't discuss it, and on Discord I don't really discuss it, because people can't see that. They also are blinded by the negative of a person. So if they, again, tribalism, if they have always their whole life been down one particular path because of their family or whatever, they're blinded to the problem because they have this blind loyalty to a particular group. So even if that person wanted to do stuff that would be damaging to this person and their family, they're okay with it because this blind loyalty. You see what I'm saying? Or people who maybe that has been their family history to vote a particular way, but now they're saying, you know what, I'm not going to vote that way. I'm going to vote, a third party. But the third party is still a part of either the Republicans or the Democrats. The whole libertarian thing is just a softer version of either Democrat or Republican. I mean, these are facts. If you look at people who claim that they're libertarian that are running for office, they still fall under one or the other. They're not just dead center in the middle. If there is one, let me know, because I have not really seen that. They're typically going to be more on one side or the other. And the fact that people are so upset that we don't have a 40-party system or a 10-party system or a 5-party system, it's like, but what are you doing to make it happen other than just throwing a vote in? That does nothing in the grand scheme of things when someone has a 1% chance. But when you actively go out there, because I mean, look at Ross Perot, for example. Ross Perot's now dead, but Ross Perot almost, he created a big change. He started his own party, basically, and got pretty far along in it. He lost, but he got pretty far along in it. Regardless of your feelings of him, he got pretty far along. But it takes a lot of resources, and it takes people on the ground making it happen. And not just in some little office or some little storefront putting together posters. I mean, these are facts. You have to have a long-standing history of creating a party, of where you actually go out there and hold town hall meetings, and not just the leadership, but people who are saying, hey, let's say that we created the Comb Party. I'm creating the Comb Party. And I really want it to be the next option. I can't just sit here and find someone who believes everything I do about the Comb Party and say that's who's going to be our next president, and the fact that nobody votes for that person, except for maybe a few thousand, I get mad about it. Well, the system's rigged because nobody voted for the Comb Party, and the Comb Party makes the most sense. Maybe they make the most sense for you, but again, they have a snowball's chance on Jupiter of actually doing anything because nobody knows about them. They're not ingrained in the system. There's a reason why Democrats and Republicans are so powerful, because they've been in the system for a very long time. They have offices everywhere. They have groups everywhere. Now, whether or not you agree or not, I don't care. But what I'm saying is that you need to get boots on the ground. You need to have people way before elections start. Let's say we have an election now in November and the person's chosen. Then in January or February, if you wanted to create the Comb Party, that's when you need to get started. That's when you basically go out there and you talk to existing politicians and say, you know what, do you believe in this, and this? If so, you might want to consider joining the Comb Party. You may want to change, from being a D or an R and go to C, because the Comb Party is going to be where it's at. This is what we believe. And so they help get the big message out there. The small message is when you have foot soldiers everywhere who are going to different things, going to different events, setting up different meetings with people in a lot of different cities and states, small towns, rural areas. And it is a long, everyday thing where you're setting up meetings every single day, getting people on board, getting people involved. It's a grassroots effort. It's not just kind of like, there has to be money behind it. Unless, if you don't do that, there's never going to be a third, fourth, fifth, sixth, or 30th party. It's never going to happen. You also need to make sure that you have financial backing. There's people who will say, well, I don't want this politician because they accept corporate money. Name a person that doesn't accept corporate money, because somewhere along the line, someone is. It may not be huge, big business, but they're getting corporate money somewhere. Everybody does. And if someone says, well, they don't, that's a lie. Now, they may have said, oh, I'm not going to take, from big donors. Okay, cool. But personally, I own a business, and I can basically say, you know what? The fact that they're all about pottery, I'm voting for that person. You know what I'm saying? It's just silly. It's silly. I'm not saying don't vote. Definitely do vote. I think that's a very important thing. But to sit here and think that someone's going to solve every issue in your life, or even half, or even 20%, is silly. It is. And more of your energy should be on local activism, changing things locally, because you have a better chance than you will trying to convince all of Congress and all of that. It just isn't going to happen. If you have where your governor, your state governor says, all right, we've got 10 cities that are all wanting the same thing, because the mayors and everybody else is following along with the people, because the people lead government, believe it or not. We just give power to the government freely, but the people really control a lot of things. If people band together and they have a belief very strong, and they convince their cities to go that direction, those cities' mayors and leaders can then talk to the governor. Because me going to the governor ain't going to do nothing. But if I'm the mayor of Seattle, or the mayor of Spokane, or the mayor of Tacoma, and I get all my other mayor friends together, there you have a chance. And let's say the governor's like, cool. Well, the mayor of Seattle has no sway in California or Oregon. Nobody, they don't care. The governors there don't care. But those cities can talk to city mayors in Oregon and in California and get them involved. Their governor's like, cool. You know what? Hey, Washington State's on board. Maybe we can work together to get this on board. Maybe we all can talk. Now you have the governor, who has a tremendous amount of power. The governor of Oregon and California, tremendous amounts of power. They're all working together. They're like, cool, we all believe the same way. Right? You then can have change. But basically putting all your weight behind someone you barely know, and you read bullet points from a website or something like that, even you don't even read that, and expecting them to basically fix things is silly. It's silly. You may like a specific policy that someone had, and you really want that policy, and nobody else is mentioning it, then try to make it happen locally versus nationally. You may have a certain belief in terms of whatever. Getting it done nationally is almost next to impossible unless you change the minds of big leadership. But locally, you can definitely make some changes. Locally, there's some things that happen that start to happen, like legalization of certain things that I can't mention. That happened that happened slowly, and now it's gained momentum. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like just boom, there it is. It's a slow process, but you have to put the work in. Anyway, I can go on and on and on and on and on. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. To me, are you tired of the politics? I'm tired of it. Tired of hearing it, seeing about it. Tired of it. But let me know what you think. Make sure you leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you. Take care.